Hey, thank you for having lunch with me. This is Lunch with Laura. Look, it's forecast to rain today, but you know what? We're going to try to get this in before it starts raining. If it does, I'm just going to have to run to the shelter over there, okay? All right, but today we're going to be talking about the biggest roadblock to eliminating debt after your breakup and what you can start to do about it today, okay? And so one of the major things that I find when I'm working with, even when I was doing legal work, one of the most one of the biggest roadblocks to people moving forward in their finances is them just spending to comfort themselves and to comfort their children. Sometimes it's really difficult to work through that shift of, in your mind, okay, things look a little bit different now financially, and to go ahead and make the changes that you need to make to benefit your family and not to get further down the hole, okay? And so one of the major things that I find that women say to me is they have guilt. When they have kids, they have guilt that they weren't able to make the relationship work with their dad. And sometimes moms will start to spend and spend and spend so that they try to comfort the kids, to say that, nothing's really changed, to have the kids feel like there's not something that's being taken away from them. And I get that. I understand. It's something that's really normal and natural. We want the best for our kids. We want them to not feel like they're being deprived of anything. And so that's an important feeling that I think that a lot of people need to address when they're going through a divorce, or even if it's a life coach or a divorce attorney, they really need to help their clients address that issue, because it's a big one. It's a common one. And so don't feel bad. Don't feel like you're a horrible mom because you're struggling with this issue. You're not. You are not a horrible mom. You're a good mom because you love your kids and you care about how they're growing up and you care about how they view the world around them and all that good stuff. So that's a hallmark of a good mom, not a bad mom. So make sure you get that settled in your heart. You're a good mom. But that's probably something, if you're feeling that way, something that you need to start to think about working on, okay? Because not only that, but sometimes, you know how kids are. Sometimes they like to have it as good as they can have it, right? And then sometimes, they can, take advantage. That's what kids do sometimes. Doesn't make them bad kids. Just means that they just want what they want because they're kids and they don't understand the value of a dollar, and they don't understand that sometimes too much can be too much, and too much cannot be a good thing, or not necessarily a good thing, and can be harmful to them. And so kids don't really have a gauge for that. So sometimes they just want what they want. And so, just understand that, that doesn't, that may be a struggle too, that if the kids are older and they're still asking for things in the same way that they did when you were still together with your ex, sometimes it just means that we just need to have a sit down. Okay? And so sometimes too, you start spending to feel like, we're okay, to make this, to help you to adjust and to have something to hold on to, because sometimes when you're going through a divorce, it just feels like things are coming out of your grasp, out of your hands, and you're slipping downward. And not necessarily, that just means that there's a change, and sometimes that's it's a horizontal change, It doesn't necessarily mean it's good or bad. It's just different. And sometimes we just need to have a different mindset about our finances. Okay. And one of the things too, if you're not sure if you're really feeling this way, one of the hallmarks is, especially for women, they start buying a lot of food. I know of people who have remained nameless who have stocked their pantry so much that sometimes the food that's in the back actually spoils because they never get to it. And it comes from a feeling of anxiety and fear that, I'm not going to have enough. So if you start to see that, you're really stockpiling food, more than you could possibly eat before it spoils, that could be a hallmark. Yeah, maybe I'm grappling with this and don't recognize it. Or there's also the things where people buy clothes. I mean, they might go to discount stores and not spending a whole lot, but that's a slow drip of, your finances just, coming out of your hands, falling through your hands, burning a hole in your pocket. And before you know it, I know of some people, it looks like they're starting a consignment shop. It's like, do you just need clothes to wear, or are you starting a business? So I'm joking about that, but, that can be a real issue moving forward for some women. So don't feel bad. It just means this is something that we need to recognize and work on. And we're going to get to what we can start to do in just a minute. And so if you find yourself doing that retail therapy for either your kids or you, one of the things that you can do to start to turn things around, okay? And one of the main things and the takeaways that they had at these shows, like these downsizing shows, there was one on a few years ago, and there was a couple from Arizona. And there was a blended family. I forgot how many. I think she had 3 kids and he had 4 kids. And they were a blended family. They got married. And he had a construction business. And the construction business, it just started to tank at that time. And they had to figure out what they were going to do. One of the main things that they did was they got their kids involved. And then kids ranged in all ages. Some of them, I think the oldest was 16. And I think the youngest was 7. And so in an age-appropriate way, you'll be surprised when your kids feel invested in getting the results that you're trying to reach for. You'll be surprised how they will rally the cause that is on your heart. Even the young kids, if they're like, okay, mommy, I'm going to do my part. You might have, if you have more than one kid, you might have one kid that might be a little resistant to it at first. They might complain for a week or two. But you'll be shocked when they really start to buy in and invest in what you're doing. They will be your biggest cheerleaders. So don't discount your kids. And, sometimes I really feel like women are grasping so much with the embarrassment of how they feel about divorce and the embarrassment that things change financially, that they really don't get the support, even from their kids, around them to help them to have that shift. So, please don't feel embarrassed. If you have, obviously you exercise wisdom with the people that you share things with, personal matters with. Absolutely exercise wisdom in doing that. But you'll be surprised, it's those 1 or 2 people and your kids, how they will encourage you and push you along. So don't discount that. Okay, so getting back to the kids and how you can help them to get invested in the process of what you're doing. Okay, and so one of the main things is, and one of the wonderful things is, try to choose 2 or 3 things that you can eliminate from your budget. Sometimes, what you can do that today. Start today. That might be, what? I'm going to have to start making my own latte. I'm not going to go to Starbucks or, that coffee house anymore. And I looked up the average spend each week at Starbucks or another coffee house is $14 a week. So that really adds up over 2 months, 3 months, and sometimes it seems like, oh, that's no big deal. I'm going to continue doing that. Let me look at the big chunk. No, chipping away at this really starts at the little things that you can do, and you'll be surprised how the little things add up. So think about 2 or 3 things that you can start to eliminate today, and also start, if you have Excel program on your computer, start a spreadsheet and start a budget. I know it's difficult, but the good part is if you've gone through a divorce, you've already listed your debts and assets. You've already started the process. So leverage that. Take a look at, oh yeah, I already listed all this crap. I don't have to, reinvent the wheel. Let me look to see what I have and let me update it. If I did that 3 months ago, let me update it and see what it looks like today. And start to do that and talk to the kids about, what's the value of money. I was shocked. I had my little nephew. He was 9 at the time. He's 10 now. And I mentioned the word budget. And he had never heard of it before. And that's, it's not a bad thing. It's not his fault. But talk to your kids about that. Talk to them about setting up budgets, what it takes to run a household, not to scare them, in an age-appropriate way. Sometimes if your kid's, 6 or 7, you can have them with construction paper with a little thermometer, and every time you hit a landmark, sometimes, you start the thermometer, okay, we're going to pay off $100 of debt this week, have them mark off $100 and they can put that little red construction paper. It looks like the thermometer is going up. You can do age-appropriate things for kids, to get them invested and say, this is the progress that we made this week or this month. Have family meetings. That's almost like a dirty word these days, having a family meeting. But have a family meeting with your kids, and just have them invested in the process. That's one of the major things that you can start to do today to change things around, change around your financial circumstance. And I'm going to be coming out with a free ebook probably in the next 10 days or so, hopefully sooner than that, that you can kind of get and take a look at and help to motivate you. It's free, to help to motivate you to kind of change things around. It'd be a little mini ebook. It might be, 10, 15 pages, not a whole lot, because, sometimes you just don't have the time to do all that reading, but you need the encouragement and the help. And so that's hopefully something that's going to encourage you today. And actually, it's starting to rain and I'm finished. So thank you for spending some of your lunch today with me, and have a good one. Take care.